Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
We'll share a guide for tonight. Let's see. Actually, apologize. Bear with me one moment, please. Try that again. So everyone's seeing the Better Bus slide?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Right, getting everything set up here. As we're waiting for people to get settled in, if you want to drop into the chat what bus route you take or MBTA service that you take, it'd be interesting for us to get a sense of who's here. And as we go through this, we will be saving the chat. So any comments that you have can be dropped into that chat. We'll also be recording for note-taking purposes. This is the Medford focused group. If you are looking for another group, you can leave the Zoom room and go back into the main room and choose another section. So assuming everybody is where they plan to be, I'll start with some brief introductions. I'm Christy Apicella. I'm a member of the consultant team that's supporting the MBTA's Bus Transformation Office. I'm here tonight with colleagues Melissa DeLay and Amanda Hogenberg. Melissa, if you want to introduce yourself and your title.
Hello, I'm Melissa DeLay. I'm the Senior Director of Service Planning for the MBTA. So we work on, where bus routes go and how frequently they come.
Great. And Amanda is our note taker.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well.
Great. So we want this session to be a time for your questions and comments. So just briefly going through where we are with things right now. If you want to submit a written question or comment, you can drop that in the chat. If you are calling in and you're not in the Zoom, you can ask a question by using *9. If you want to ask a question verbally, please raise your hand and we will call on you to recognize you and have you unmute to be able to make your comment, and then lower your hand. And after you speak, please lower your hand and provide opportunities for others. I see lots of hands are going up. As a reminder, the changes that we're proposing from the main slide, you are in the room for Medford, which is routes 67, 80, 94, 96, and 350. I do have all of the slides from the presentation, the different packages of options that are here. I'm going to keep it on this summary slide that shows the packages A, B, and C, and keep those up. I can go back to the other ones as needed. The MBTA received many comments about the frequency reductions on Boston Ave in Medford and Somerville, and heard the need to improve frequency and connectivity to the Green Line and the Red Line. So there are 3 packages shown on this slide to improve frequency and dependability of service in this area. But we do want to point out that these are sort of a mix and match. It isn't a one or the other of the packages A, B, and C. There is some ability to combine some of these options. So I'm going to open it up for questions, but first want to ask Melissa, as our subject matter expert, is there any other clarifications or background that you want to provide?
Yeah, if I could just spend just a couple minutes because the way that these overlap is a little confusing. So I wanted to kind of show that for package A, this was really there's two main decision points. One decision point is about the route structure themselves, which is kind of retaining 350 largely as it is today, going to Alewife, retaining 67 largely as it is today. Now, there are some trade-offs with those. So with the 350, that means that we wouldn't get the new connectivity to Burlington from Davis, or in the case of the 67, that we wouldn't get the new connectivity from Turkey Hill to like the Capitol Theater, that stretch of Mass Ave. But what that does is actually two different things. By separating the 80 from the 350, it allows us to dial up the frequency on the 80 independently because not having to get, every 20 to 30 minute service, hypothetically, all the way to Burlington through Winchester and through Woburn and some other places that have generally kind of lower density and less demand, um, means that we can really target the frequency on Boston Ave, where we've heard a lot of the feedback about this proposal. So the two decision points are about the route structure changes, and then how much of our resources do we want to apply to improving frequency on the 80? And then also on this proposal, there's also a short extension of the 80 from Arlington Center to Arlington Heights. That's really Arlington focused to connect folks who come from Arlington over to the Green Line extension. But there are also connections from, say, Boston Ave out to Stop and Shop on Mass Ave or to Trader Joe's and some other things. So those are all part of the package. But if we were to kind of, I would say, like dial the frequency dial all the way toward improved 80, this could be something like every 20 to 30 minute service on the 80, 7 days per week. If that's how we choose to invest our resources. Now, where that overlaps is with the second package, package B, which we could do, with the structure changes, but because there's a cost to restoring the Route 94, that means that we wouldn't be able to improve the frequency on the 80 as much as we would because we're constrained on, how many peak buses we have during rush hours and those sorts of things. So we could dial our resources a bit more toward the 94. What that does is it connects Boston Avenue to Medford Square, or it connects that sort of stretch of High Street, kind of between West Medford and Winthrop Circle, over to Red Line and Green Line territory. With the existing proposal, that stretch of High Street is served only by the 95, which is slated to become an every 20-minute service 7 days a week. So how important is it to have that direct red and green line connection versus having a transfer from our every 20-minute service is kind of part of the really useful feedback that I'd love to understand is like how much should we turn that dial toward restoration of the 94 versus increasing the frequency on the 80. Having two separate routes just means that it's more complicated to try to coordinate that service on Boston Avenue. Having one route that's twice as frequent, you can kind of keep things evenly spaced. With two routes, because they generally have different cycle times and different kind of, I'll call it harmonic frequency, sort of, but it's very difficult to coordinate two different routes on a single corridor, whereas with that same investment, you can get one route with better frequency. So it's about how we value those trade-offs. And then the third package, it's sort of a separate decision point is how exactly should we route the 96th through the streets over here? I would say kind of the simplified view of this is between Boston Avenue, George Street, and High Street. Pick two. Which two should we have the 96 traveling on? Right now, the proposal is, as you can see on the screen, to serve High Street and Winthrop Circle. And we're proposing that it should be that and College Avenue, but then that leaves George Street kind of walking over to Winthrop Street in order to get access. But like trying to find that right balance. The High Street connection on the 96 was designed so that it would replace the 94. But if we're restoring the 94, is there a different path for the 96 that would make more sense? So those are the kind of three discrete decision points that we're looking for feedback. So I'd love to hear, how you're using the service, how you would use the service more with some of these other kind of decision points that we're looking at.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. We have a number of people with their hands raised. I'm going to go in order of what is shown on my screen. So first is Dan Nowitz. You should be able to unmute yourself and make your comment or ask a question.
Yes, hi, Christy. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Dan.
fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you for the work. I really support option C, and I understand they're not mutually exclusive. But in Medford, we have a goal of increasing the housing opportunities on Boston Ave, and higher frequency on Boston Ave would be greatly appreciated and really support our goal. There's a lot of commuters that travel towards Cambridge, Harvard Square, and having that increased frequency on Boston Ave would really support those goals we have.
Great, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Karina, you should be able to unmute and make your comment or ask a question.
Hi.
Hi,
Can you hear
Karina.
me?
Yes.
First, I want to echo Dan and thank you for all the work that you've put into this and sort of going through a lot of feedback. So I put this in the chat. I think I guess if I could be selfish, it would be package B and C, but for specifically B, I think it's pretty, there's like a stretch of High Street that wouldn't be served if you eliminate the 94. And I know the 95 covers that, but the 95 doesn't go to the red line or the green line. And my worry is that without the 94, it almost severs Medford Square, a big part of West Medford, from the ability to get to the green line or the red line. And it, I feel like it's not, it seems a bit, I don't want to say unfair, but it's a part of West Medford that is likely going to have a pretty substantial increase in residents pretty soon with zoning and a lot of housing projects that are happening there and where the commuter rail line is. And so it doesn't make much sense to me for that stretch of High Street to not be serviced by a bus line that goes to two pretty big hubs. And then the 96, I would love for it to not turn off Boston Ave as early as it was. I love the high frequency, but I think increasing the frequency, but then cutting off most of Boston Ave from benefiting from that frequency also seems like something that would not benefit a lot of Medford residents.
Thank you, Karina. We appreciate your comments. Amanda's noting these all down and we have the transcription as well. The next person is Beth Cohen. You should be able to unmute and make a comment at this point.
Yep. Yeah, I'm on. Whoops. What did I do? Did I do something terrible?
Nope. We hear you, Beth. Go
Okay,
ahead.
great. Okay. So I live in Arlington Center and I'm served by the 67. And I also go into the West Medford train station, which is very poorly served. I frequently, up until recently, when I broke my leg, I would walk from Arlington Center to the West Medford train station because the bus service was so sucky that it was actually faster for me to walk because for me it's about about 2 mile walk. So, and also the 67 is that end of Arlington on the Route 2 side that's the only service the 67 only is the only service in that area. So, to walk into Arlington Center, having walked it many times, I will tell you it's about a 2 mile walk from Route 2 over to Arlington Center. So, I would like to see the 67 retained on Pleasant Street and then somehow increase the frequency of getting over to the West Medford train station from Arlington Center. So that's my comments.
Good. Thank you, Beth.
If I could just add a quick response that the Bus Network Redesign Plan does propose making the 95 between Arlington Center and West Medford via High Street every 20 minutes, all day, 7 days a week, which is a huge improvement because today it's sometimes, 30 to 60 minutes. So I just want to flag that that's already in the plan to make that.
That would help. As I said, when I was commuting from the West Medford into town, because it's actually the fastest way to get into town, I literally walked the bus pretty much every day, and it was literally 2 mile walk to my house. So I broke my leg about a year ago, which makes that 2 mile walk much more difficult for me now.
Understood. Thank you. David, I apologize. I'm not going to pronounce your name well.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, David,
That's
go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah, so I live in Gilman Square in Somerville, and a note about the maps that you've shown. None of the maps show the southern terminus of Route 80. So just to flag this, that Route 80 currently goes beyond Davis Square all the way down through East Somerville and to Leechmere. In some ways, it parallels the Green Line. The thing that concerns me is that Gilman Square, which there's the Gilman Square T station, but there's currently a plan to increase the amount of housing and other developments in Gilman Square quite significantly. The mayor just announced his intention to build a large affordable housing complex on the lot that's currently vacant there. There are some other proposals that have been in the pipeline for a while. And the reason I bring this up is because currently it's the only single seat ride between that part of Somerville and Arlington. And the other thing is that the Gilman Square T station is not ADA accessible. There's a large hill that you have to walk from either side of it. It is kind of at the top of two hills, or the top of a hill with valleys on either side. So it's very difficult for people to walk up that if they're not fully if they require ADA accessibility. And particularly there's a lot of affordable housing in that area served specifically by the 80 on Pearl Street. So I worry that hasn't been taken into account, and that we're basically just assuming that the Green Line will be able to handle all of that. If the Green Line was made more accessible to residents who live north of the Green Line in Gilman Square, that maybe would be less of an issue. But my understanding is there's currently no plan for that. So I would ask that you consider the impact on the southern part of the 80 route when taking this into consideration. Cool, thanks.
Thank you, David. Melissa, is there anything about Gilman Square and the 80 that we need to clarify? I realize that the maps do not highlight Gilman Square.
Nope, David had it correct. It's our proposal to terminate the 80 at Davis Square in lieu of paralleling the Green Line, as he mentioned. So,
okay, thank you for clarifying. All right, Peggy Rose, you should be able to unmute.
Hi, thanks so much.
Hi, Peggy.
Hi, very informative. So I live if you look at the middle package B where the 80 and the 94 diverge, that's my neighborhood. I'm pretty strongly in favor of package A for some of the reasons given. Having the 94 and the 80, currently they run about every 50 minutes, and each of them comes to the same corner about 10 minutes apart. So it doesn't cover the service. I feel that the package A, where the 80 would just be going back and forth between Davis and Arlington Heights, would give a much more consistent and predictable pathway both to the Green Line and to the Red Line. The option of getting to Arlington Center and Arlington Heights is, for me, much less frequent, but being able to get to those Stop and Shop and Trader Joe's just for the occasional shopping trip would be a tremendous benefit for me. I do rely on public transit, not exclusively, but very frequently. So for me, it's not a hard walk to get to the 95 to get into Medford Square. And I don't have an opinion on Route C, but I definitely think that the package A would kind of restore what the neighborhood used to feel like, with like pretty predictable service up and down Boston Ave getting to Davis. I appreciate all the thought that's gone into this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Peggy, for your comments. Chase Glenn. You should be able to unmute.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm going to echo what everyone else said, is thank you for taking community feedback on this. So I live in West Medford, and I agree with what a few of the other people have said, is that without the 94, we lose really all of our access to the red and green lines. Understand that there is overlap between the 80 and the 94, but they do serve different ends, except for the proposal that cuts the 80 at Davis Square. Another thing I do want to just mention is that the Lowell line is a frequented transit or commuter rail stop. And without the 94, anyone coming in to the greater Boston area from the north loses direct access to the red line into Somerville and Cambridge, and they'd have to go all the way into North Station, connect to Park Street, and then come all the way back up just to reach other parts of Cambridge. But also the 94 is always frequently is packed. West Medford would be losing significant transit capabilities. And with the change to the 96 that was mentioned, is the rotary that the 96 would cross at to get to Boston Ave, most of the day is already completely backed up with traffic because people are trying to get onto the get onto 93 through that intersection. And so increasing the frequency that a 96, I feel like, misses out on the access that people need, and I think puts a Band-Aid on some of the larger issues with transit in Medford in general. But option B is probably one of the most accessible for the people in West Medford that would otherwise be getting cut off with all of the other options that are on the table.
Understood. Thank you, Chase.
Thank you.
Stefano Lazzara.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
So basically what I was looking over with what some other people said, yes, the 94 is a valuable connection, as it does offer a 1-seat ride from Medford Square to like communities along Boston Avenue. And I feel like one of the main reasons that people are upset about the changes is that they lose that 1-seat ride. And what I was thinking is that maybe if there is a way, like, you know how the 80 and like the 95 like merge at like that intersection between Boston Avenue and High Street?
Yes.
So maybe I was thinking like maybe they could almost like cross in a way where, like, for example, if I'm going up Boston Avenue on the former 94 right of way, and I need to get to Medford Square, I would get off at the intersection from the 80 and maybe transfer to a 95 to continue my way. Okay. Almost like as soon as I get off the 80, like in like 2 or 3 minutes, like the 95 would show up. Almost like schedule the buses in a way so they can like meet up.
Okay, I think I'm following what you're saying. I know that 95 isn't part of this particular package, but your comments are noted. Thank you. John Strauss.
Hi, Christy, thanks. First, I wanted to just give a little shout out to Melissa, who helped us. I live in Burlington, so I'm kind of parachuting in. And I did want to say thank you very much to Melissa, who arranged for the 350 every route to go to the Northwest Park. So we don't have to get off at the square and try to, or Burlington Center, and try to make our way over to the western part of Burlington. So that's a great, great plus for a lot of people. And I wanted to speak up in favor of, uh, I guess it's project or package A. And I don't, because I'm out in Burlington, what the 350 does for us is it connects the biotech areas down in, not, what am I trying to say? Down in the square in Cambridge. And it connects it to the biotech areas up here in Burlington on the Middlesex Turnpike. Also, the people that live up in Lowell have access through Route 14 of the LRTA, and that connects with the 350 at Wegmans. So so it allows those people that are not necessarily near the railroad station in North Billerica, all the people in Billerica Center and all the people down the Middlesex Turnpike to directly access Cambridge as they take the 350 into Alewife. And, either go to the biotech there and around the T station or continue on the red line into town to the airport and so forth. So it's just a really important connection, and I just don't want to see that lost as, if we have to go around and through Medford Square. So I'm 100% in favor of keeping the 350. If things have to be adjusted in other parts of the package, then that would be done. But again, for us, they're a little bit out of town. That 350 is a lifeline, and we love it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, John. I just want to note the time is 7:23. We're in this room for about 20 more minutes, and we have about 15 hands raised. You can also drop your comments in the chat, but we're going to do our best to try to get through everybody who has their hand raised. So Stephen Goodrow, you should be able to unmute.
Okay, thank you. I just so I'm a resident of Somerville in the area north of Gilman Squares, between there and Magoon, and I just wanted to second the earlier comment about the loss of the 80 through the spine of Somerville. Given the hills, given the lack of ADA accessibility, and just in general, the 80 provides a pretty coarse service that I would say does not duplicate the Green Line. It supplements it. It enables those of us in kind of central, that part of Somerville, to connect down to the many routes along towards Union Square without walking up and over a 120-foot hill. So please just don't forget that whole section of the 80. I don't know if there's a backup plan to provide some service instead when that is cut or not.
Thank you, Stephen. Derek DuPont should be able to unmute.
Hey there.
Hi, Derek.
So I'm living along Salem Street, currently serviced by the 101, which, if I understand, that's going to transform into the new high frequency 96. And so far, mostly I'm using that to go to Malden Center. I'm curious about package C with the potential shift for how the 96 will go down towards Davis Square. If with package C, we would see kind of any changes, that 15-minute frequency, if we kind of have like a diverted route like that. I don't know if that's something that's been considered or not.
Yeah, just to clarify, to make sure I'm understanding, what we're proposing in C is that the 96 would still be a high frequency route. So it would be every 15 minutes or better, 7 days per week. It would still be extended to Malden at one end, and we're still proposing it to go to Union Square at the other end, or probably a little bit past Union, because to turn around, we end up practically at East Somerville Station. And this is really just about like how we zig and zag on High Street Winthrop, George, and or Boston Ave,
Hmm.
just in that like one little area around the Medford, between Medford Tufts and up to like Winthrop Circle. So I call it we zig instead of zag, and trying to find like the right zig is what this is about. But the frequency is still slated to be every 15 minutes or better. So that part is unchanged.
Okay, thank you. That's a really useful way to think about it. It's kind of just outside of that segment that we're thinking about changing it. Outside of it, everything else kind of basically stays the same. Okay, thank you. That was my question. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Next is Jacob Cotton.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Jacob, go ahead.
Hi. Well, firstly, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity for the feedback. I was actually part of these like town halls 4 years ago, and it kind of seemed like everything was as is and written in stone. So I really appreciate it. Um, just like Peggy, I live in that kind of the area where the 94 and the 80 diverge. I've been here for 5 years, and it's been kind of great to have the accessibility via the bus systems, to get to the orange, green, and red lines at a relatively decent frequency. Although even now, I would probably still propose to increase how it currently is. Um, I guess my biggest concerns are kind of echoing what other people have said about the fact that these buses are on the roads with the other cars and the other traffic that is ongoing. So that even just limiting to just one line, just like the 80, you kind of are still held to the gods of the traffic. So I'd propose the options shown, package B, I guess, would be my preferred option to retain the 94. But also in general, just more frequency is always a good thing with buses. Maybe I missed it, but how frequent would the package A bus, the 80 bus be?
So for A, if we didn't do B, uh, it would be every 20 to 30 minutes, 7 days a week, and which is actually a bit more frequent than it is because today off peak it might be hourly-ish. And then with 94, we could get something in the similar to what it is now, every like 45-ish for much of the day. And
Okay.
then if we did like half A, half B, that would kind of look like what we have today, where it's a bit less frequent, but they overlap. So
Gotcha. Yeah. So I guess selfishly, because of where I live, the option A would actually be more accessible for me. But I do understand that area of the 94, where it goes towards Medford Square, those people are going to be cut off, and I don't know if that's entirely fair. Um, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jacob. Okay, we're going to keep trying to go through this in the next 10 minutes. We have Christine Bennett.
Good evening. How are you?
Great. Thank you. We can hear you, Christine.
I have a major concern about the 96. It's one of the only buses that comes to my area. I'm an older person. The distance for me to walk all the way up Boston Ave, which is uphill, on top of the fact that it's over a bridge, and the bridge during the wintertime is never, ever shoveled. I don't know whose domain it is. I don't care to know. It's just problematic that you have to walk out on the street on Winthrop Street. Everything seems to be sort of aiming toward the green line, and it's like the red line is really what I use most of the time. I go to the red line, and I usually go to Davis or Harvard to go to other places that I'm going to go to. I'm not going into Boston all the time, but it's like I like to be able to go where I need to go. It by changing this whole trajectory and making it impossible for me to get onto that bus is a serious problem for me. And I'm sure I see a lot of people take that bus that live on George Street or coming up from those side streets toward George Street. So by eliminating that and putting all of these buses on Boston Ave is a serious problem for me. That leaves me no method of transportation without a long walk for me.
Understood. Thank you,
could you just
Christine.
clarify? So are you on George Street or kind of
I'm
George or Winthrop or?
I'm off of Winthrop. I'm probably diagonally to George Street. It probably from my house to George Street is like a 10-minute walk. And if I had to go up to Boston Ave, I wouldn't be able to make it.
Because we're proposing to go down Winthrop Street from Winthrop Circle to Boston Ave.
That's still a
And-
distance.
Okay,
You're
sorry.
talking to, all right, so if I'm in the middle between them. And either way is a distance. I'm in between Boston Ave and Winthrop Street, and both of those would be a long walk for me. And it depends on where on Winthrop Street we're talking. It's like, that's one of the busiest. Winthrop Street, if you're talking about near the Rotary, that's like, forget it. There's no way. Again, it's another uphill battle for me. I'm right at the low end, right? So I have to go up to Boston Ave. I have to climb over a never shoveled pathway, which is quite a distance. It's that whole bridge section. Or I have to walk all the way uphill to get up to Winthrop Street, crossing a major section like the Mystic Valley Parkway section. So either way is a problem for me.
Thank you, Christine. We appreciate your comments. We'll
And-
pass on about the snow removal to
Yep.
other agencies, and you're heard on the Boston and
Yeah,
Winthrop.
and the other section that we're talking about is, you have senior housing, which,
Christine, I'm gonna ask if you could add other comments into the chat so that we can get through the other raised hands in the less than 10 minutes that we have
Okey-doke.
remaining. Thank you
You
so
got it.
much.
Yep.
We appreciate it. Eileen Lerner should be unmuted. Hi, Eileen. It looks like you're muted.
It off.
There you are.
Oh,
Okay. Got it.
So I live on Mystic Valley Parkway at 3920, which is two 10-story buildings with a lot of seniors in them, and also a lot of young families with children who are toddlers and babies. Now there is a bus that is in front of Marshall's at the shopping center next to our housing, but for people with who are elderly or who have disabilities, it isn't a short walk. The other factor affecting this is that we're down the street from where I live on Mystic Valley Parkway. There are new apartments going up at Mill Creek. They should be ready in 2 years, they say, and that will also be about 200 new apartments. So there are going to be a lot of people along Mystic Valley Parkway who need bus service. Now, I understand that somebody told me that buses were not allowed on Mystic Valley Parkway. Okay, I understand that, and I understand that you can't add new buses. Okay. So here's my suggestion. Instead of having the bus pick up people at Marshall's, have them pick up people at Kohl's, which will be closer to the Mystic Valley Parkway itself and would be a shorter walk for seniors and also for moms and dads with little children in carriages and toddlers. So that would be my suggestion without adding anything. Just change where the bus stop is.
Thank you, Eileen.
Okay, thank you.
Amanda?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name's Amanda. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Amanda, I'm sorry. Oh, try again, please.
Hello?
Hello, Amanda.
Hi.
I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'll try to be brief. I live in the hillside area of Medford, just south of Medford Square. I use the 96 several times a week I really enjoy having a one-seat ride from George Street area to Harvard Square. And I agree with what someone was saying before. I'm sorry that I can't remember your name, but that when you get to Harvard Square, I feel like you can get to pretty much anywhere from there. I really enjoy the Red Line access, as well as access to other bus connections and even just that area. So I'm curious about the rationale for the decision to have the 96 go to Union Square rather than to Harvard. As I'm thinking and myself and hearing many people say that cutting off that direct access to Harvard would greatly decrease the usefulness of public transport and kind of like force people to the Green Line over the red. Which, the Green Line is useful, but it's not the same, especially for people who work and live or work rather in the Harvard Square area. Yeah. And also, I do want to voice that I don't use the 94 as frequently, but I do think it's really important to retain that route for people who do.
Thank you, Amanda. We have a hard stop at 7:40. I know I'm not going to get through all of the hands. I apologize for that. I have no ability to extend the breakout room sessions. Please put your comments in the meeting chat. Amanda, can I ask you to also add to the chat the MBTA Better Bus Network link and the link to the survey? That will also be on the slide when we go back into the main room for people to access as well. All of your comments will be recorded through a variety of different means. So I'm going to move on to Anita. Anita, are you able to unmute? Go ahead, Anita.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have spoken with well over 1,000 people in the Medford area over the past few years. Option B is by far the best option for the most people. Option A will only improve service for the people along Boston Ave, which is important, but option B will improve service for all the residents of High Street, some of whom walk several blocks from side streets to even get to the 94. It will also improve service to Medford Square for all Medford residents. Medford Square is a central location, City Hall, pharmacies, doctor's offices, many services there, and there should be bus service to city centers. Quickly on option C, taking 96 off of George Street is a non-starter. This came up in the first iteration of this plan. There are commuter rail tracks between George Street and Boston Ave. There is no way to walk from George Street to Boston Ave without going all the way to Winthrop or all the way to College Ave. You would be cutting off a large number of people from bus service if you do that, even with the bus running on Winthrop. I agree with the people who say that there will be a lot of traffic at the Rotary the way you have this routed now. If you restore the 94, you could put the 96 back onto its current plan, which is from up Main Street to George, back to Boston Ave, bringing high-frequency service to Boston Ave, not cutting off the people in the George Street area. And as far as keeping it going to Harvard, you would be opening up job opportunities for a large number of Malden residents if you keep that Harvard as the destination.
Thank you, Anita. We are about to be kicked out of the room. I apologize to Howard, Julia, John, Stephanie, Linda, and Susanna. Please submit your comments through the chat here or in the main room for the Q&A, and fill out the survey or send an email, but all the verbal comments, all the chat comments will be saved. Thank you so much for your cooperation, patience, and being respectful of one another. We greatly appreciate all of your input and taking the time to participate. And again, I apologize we did not get through everyone, but I am truly grateful for your time and the comments that you've provided and for your respect of one another. Thank you very much.